First contact confusion. Captain Elena Martinez stood at the helm of the ESS Prosperity, Earth's first long-range diplomatic vessel, watching the holographic display as it showed yet another alien fleet retreating at full speed. She couldn't help but smile. This was the third time this week, and she still couldn't believe their luck. The Prosperity had started its life as a simple cargo hauler, retrofitted with the latest in civilian technology for its diplomatic mission. The ship's most notable features were its revolutionary waste heat management system, which happened to look like weapon ports, and its efficient solar collection arrays, which apparently resembled some kind of ancient superweapon to alien eyes. "They're broadcasting again, Captain," announced Communications Officer Raj Patel, his dark eyes twinkling with barely contained amusement. "Want to hear this one?" "Let's hear it," Elena replied, settling into her command chair. The message crackled through the bridge speakers. "Attention Earth vessel, we acknowledge your superior positioning and unconventional armaments. We will respect your territorial claims in this sector. Please do not activate your everything." The bridge crew maintained their professional composure, though Elena noticed her first officer, David Chen, suddenly becoming very interested in his console readings to hide his grin. "Send our standard response," Elena ordered. "Keep it mysterious." The response was simple. "Your wisdom is noted. Safe travels." It was deliberately vague. Another successful implementation of what had become known as the Strategic Ambiguity Protocol. The truth was, humanity had stumbled into interstellar diplomacy completely unprepared. When they'd first detected alien civilizations, Earth's leaders had panicked, realizing they were centuries behind in military technology. But then someone had noticed something interesting. The aliens were interpreting everything humans did through their own cultural and technological lens, and they were terrified of what they didn't understand. The Prosperity's chief engineer, Dr. Sarah Wong, had been the first to realize the potential of this misunderstanding. She designed the ship's external lighting system to be both energy efficient and aesthetically pleasing. The aliens had immediately assumed it was some kind of advanced shield matrix. "Captain," Sarah's voice came through the comm system. "You might want to see this. Remember those atmospheric stabilizers we installed last week? The ones that help us maintain proper pressure during long deployments." "Yes. Well, I've been monitoring alien scan patterns, and they think they're some kind of quantum phase disruptors. Their sensors can't make sense of the resonance patterns." Elena leaned back in her chair, considering this information. Earth's entire defensive strategy had evolved around this principle: let alien imaginations do the work for them. Every mundane system on their ships had been deliberately designed to look as mysterious and threatening as possible, while remaining completely civilian in nature. The strategy had worked better than anyone could have hoped. In just 6 months, humanity had established itself as a force to be reckoned with in the galaxy, despite having barely mastered interstellar travel. Their ships, with their unusual designs and incomprehensible, to alien eyes, technology, had earned a reputation as harbingers of doom, despite never having fired a single shot. "Captain," David interrupted her thoughts, "we're receiving a priority transmission from Earth Command. They want us to investigate some unusual activity in the Arcturus sector." "More pirates?" Elena asked, already knowing the answer. The various spacefaring criminal enterprises had been giving Earth a wide berth lately, which had the unexpected side effect of making human ships the perfect choice for anti-piracy operations. Apparently so. A group has been targeting civilian transports. The local authorities have requested our unique capabilities. Elena nodded, a plan already forming in her mind. "Sarah, how about we give them a show? Power up the waste heat vents, make them extra glowy this time, and let's run a full diagnostic on the solar arrays." "You mean activate our quantum cascade weapons and temporal disruption field?" Sarah replied, using the terms they'd found in intercepted alien communications. "With pleasure, Captain." As the Prosperity changed course for Arcturus, Elena reflected on the strange path that had led them here. Humanity had wanted to join the galactic community but had found itself woefully unprepared for the realities of space. Instead of giving up, they'd turned their greatest weakness, their technological inferiority, into their greatest strength. No one knew what humans were capable of, and that mystery had proved more powerful than any weapon. Approaching Arcturus sector, David announced some hours later. Long-range sensors are picking up multiple signatures consistent with pirate vessels. Perfect, Elena smiled. Let's show them why Earth ships have earned their reputation. Sarah, begin Operation Lightshow. Raj, prepare to broadcast on all frequencies, in complete silence. The Prosperity's external arrays began their carefully choreographed display, waves of light rippling across the hull in patterns that seemed to defy physics. The waste heat management system kicked into high gear, creating a soft blue glow around the ship that, in the vacuum of space, looked decidedly unnatural. As they approached the pirate fleet, Elena gave the order she'd been waiting for: initiate the Thunder Protocol. It was their most dramatic performance yet, a completely harmless combination of light shows, electromagnetic emissions, and precisely timed maneuvers that, to outside observers, made it appear as if reality itself was bending around the ship. The pirates didn't wait around to see what would happen next. Their ships scattered in all directions, leaving behind their stolen cargo and a significant portion of their dignity. As her crew began coordinating the recovery of the stolen vessels, Elena couldn't help but wonder how long they could maintain this elaborate charade. But for now, at least, humanity had found its place in the galaxy, not through force of arms, but through the power of imagination and the careful cultivation of mystery. Message from the local authorities, Captain, Raj announced. They're asking how we managed to disable the pirates' weapons systems. Elena smiled. Tell them that information is classified under Section 7 of the Earth Strategic Security Protocol. There is no Section 7, David whispered. Exactly, Elena replied. And that's exactly what makes it so effective. The bluff that changed everything. The news spread through the galactic community like a shockwave. The mysterious Earth fleet had done the impossible. They had faced down the notorious Crimson Armada, the most feared military force in the Orion Arm, without firing a single shot. What nobody knew was that Captain Elena Martinez and her crew were running out of tricks. They're calling us what now? Elena asked, staring at the intelligence report on her tablet. The Void Dancers, First Officer David Chen replied, trying to keep a straight face. Apparently, our last encounter with the pirates convinced everyone we can manipulate space-time itself. The bridge of the ESS Prosperity had become notably more crowded in recent weeks. Representatives from various alien species had requested to observe Earth's peacekeeping operations, though Elena suspected they were really trying to figure out how their technology worked. If they only knew. Dr. Sarah Wong, their chief engineer, burst onto the bridge, her usual calm demeanor replaced with barely contained excitement. Captain, we have a problem. And possibly a solution. The good news first, Sarah. The Crimson Armada wasn't fooled by our light show. Their sensors are more sophisticated than we thought. They're gathering a fleet. A big one. But Sarah's eyes gleamed with that particular light that Elena had learned meant either brilliance or madness was coming. I've been working on something new. Elena gestured for her to continue, aware of the alien observers watching their every move. Remember those maintenance nanobots we used to repair micrometeorite damage to the hull? I've reprogrammed their movement patterns. When viewed on standard military scanners, they look exactly like quantum probability distortions. David raised an eyebrow. And quantum probability distortions are theoretical weapons that could unravel the fabric of space-time. One of the alien observers, a Centaurian physicist, whispered in awe. But they were banned by the Galactic Council millennia ago. Surely Earth wouldn't. Elena kept her face carefully neutral, though internally she was fighting back laughter. Their entire defensive strategy was built on letting others' imaginations run wild, but this was reaching new levels of absurdity. Sarah, implement your modifications. But first, we need to talk privately. She led her chief engineer to her ready room, making sure their conversation would be both private and visibly serious to their observers. Once alone, Alina collapsed into her chair, finally letting out a chuckle. Quantum probability distortions. Really? Sarah shrugged, grinning. Hey, I just read about them in some ancient texts the Centaurians shared. The best part? No one actually knows what they look like because they never existed. They're perfect for our purposes. How long can you keep the nanobots running in that pattern? About 6 hours before they need to recharge. But that should be enough time to make our point. Alina nodded, her expression turning serious. The Crimson Armada isn't like the pirates we've dealt with before. They'd got real weapons, real shields. If they call our bluff, then we better make sure they don't, Sarah replied. I've got a few more ideas. Remember those crystalline growths we found on Titan? The ones that naturally respond to electromagnetic fields. 3 days later, the ESS Prosperity faced down the largest fleet humanity had ever encountered. 30 warships, their hulls bristling with actual weapons, arranged in an attack formation that made Alina's tactical training scream in alarm. They're hailing us, Raj announced from his communication station. On screen, Alina ordered, straightening in her chair. The Crimson Armada's commander was an imposing figure, his cybernetically enhanced face filling the view screen. Earth vessel, your reputation is impressive, but your deception ends today. Our sensors have penetrated your clever light shows and electromagnetic tricks. Surrender now, and we'll ensure your crew is treated according to prisoner of war protocols. Alina smiled, the kind of smile that had made her infamous in poker games back at the academy. Commander, I'm afraid there's been a misunderstanding. Those light shows, as you call them, they're just our way of being friendly. She nodded to Sarah, who initiated their most ambitious deception yet. Across the Prosperity's hull, the maintenance nanobots began their carefully choreographed dance, creating patterns that defied conventional scanning. Simultaneously, the Titan crystals they'd mounted on the hull began to resonate with the ship's standard electromagnetic field, creating what appeared to be impossible energy readings. What you're detecting now, Alina continued, her voice casual, is what happens when we're not feeling friendly. The alien commander's cybernetic eye whirred as it processed the sensor data. Impossible. These readings, they matched the theoretical patterns of quantum probability distortions. Alina finished for him. Interesting theory. Would you like to test it? The silence that followed was deafening. Alina could almost see the calculations running through the commander's enhanced mind. Was Earth truly capable of wielding such power? Could they risk finding out? You're bluffing, he finally declared, but there was uncertainty in his voice. Alina leaned forward in her chair. Commander, in the past 3 months, no one has seen an Earth ship fire a single weapon. Don't you wonder why? Here's a counter-proposal. Leave this sector, never return, and you won't have to find out. The standoff lasted another tense hour. The Crimson Armada's ships maintained their position, while their commanders presumably debated their options. Finally, one by one, they began to turn away. They're retreating, Captain, David announced, his voice filled with relief. Alina waited until the last ship had jumped to faster-than-light speed before slumping in her chair. Sarah, please tell me those nanobots can keep dancing a little longer. I want to make sure they're really gone. They're good for another hour, Sarah replied. But Captain, we can't keep this up forever. Sooner or later, someone's going to call our bluff for real. Alina nodded, watching the stars through the bridge viewport. Then we'd better make sure we have something real before that happens. Send a message to Earth Command. Tell them it's time to implement Phase 2. As the Prosperity set course for home, Alina couldn't help but wonder what the history books would make of this period. How humanity had faced down the galaxy's greatest threats armed with nothing but cleaning robots, light shows, and an unprecedented talent for creative misdirection. But Phase 2 would change everything. Because while the galaxy had been focused on their imaginary superweapons, humanity had been quietly learning, adapting, and preparing. Soon, they wouldn't need to bluff anymore. The real question was, would anyone believe the truth when they finally revealed it? Reputation spreads. The emergency meeting of the Galactic Council was in its third hour when the Earth delegation finally arrived. Captain Elena Martinez, now promoted to Admiral, watched as the various alien representatives fell silent at their entrance. Fear, awe, and curiosity radiated from the assembled delegates in almost palpable waves. The council chamber itself was a marvel of alien architecture, its crystalline walls stretching up into darkness. But today, all eyes were on the small human delegation and their supposedly terrifying vessel in orbit above. The humans, announced the council speaker, a tall, ethereal being composed mostly of light, have been summoned to address the growing concerns about their military capabilities. Elena stepped forward, her new admiral's uniform pristine. Behind her, Sarah Wong, now Earth's Chief of Advanced Technologies, carried a datapad containing their carefully prepared presentation. The truth about Earth's technological capabilities was still humanity's most closely guarded secret, but today they would have to reveal something. Honorable Council, Elena began, we understand your concerns. The recent incident in the Carina Nebula has caused considerable anxiety. That was an understatement. A week ago, the ESS Prosperity, under its new captain, had encountered a previously unknown species attempting to invade Council space. The encounter had ended with the alien fleet retreating in panic after witnessing what they described as reality itself unraveling around the Earth vessel. In reality, Sarah's team had simply perfected their control over the Titan crystals, creating quantum interference patterns that played havoc with sensors. Combined with their ever-evolving nanite displays, it had created quite a show. Admiral Martinez, a Rigelian delegate, interrupted, their crystalline form pulsing with agitation. My government demands to know the exact nature of your quantum manipulation technology, the energy readings we detected. I'm afraid that information remains classified, Elena replied smoothly. However, we are prepared to offer something else. Protection. The chamber erupted in murmurs. This was humanity's gambit, to transform from a perceived threat into an indispensable ally. Sarah stepped forward, activating a holographic display. Earth proposes the establishment of joint defense initiatives across Council space. Our ships will patrol key trade routes, protect vulnerable colonies, and respond to any threats to galactic peace. And in return, the Council speaker's voice carried centuries of diplomatic experience. Knowledge exchange, Elena answered. Access to Council scientific databases, cultural archives, and historical records. We believe mutual understanding is the key to lasting peace. What she didn't mention was that this was exactly what Earth needed: time and information. While their reputation for mysterious superweapons kept potential aggressors at bay, their scientists could study alien technologies and develop real defensive capabilities. The debate raged for hours. Some delegates argued against trusting the mysterious humans, while others pointed out that Earth vessels had never actually attacked anyone. They had only defended themselves and others. Finally, a compromise was reached. Earth would be granted provisional membership in the Council, with their ships authorized to act as peacekeepers in designated sectors. In return, they would share selected aspects of their technology. As Elena and Sarah left the chamber, they maintained their composed demeanor until they reached the privacy of their shuttle. That was too close, Sarah muttered, slumping into her seat. Did you see the Arcturus delegation's sensor readings? They almost detected the nanite control signals. Elena nodded, equally relieved. How's Project Phoenix coming along? Sarah's expression brightened. That's the good news. While everyone's been distracted by our light shows, the research team has made a breakthrough. Remember those anomalous readings we got from the Titan crystals? Turns out they weren't just responding to electromagnetic fields. They were actually affecting quantum states at a fundamental level. In English, Sarah, we accidentally discovered actual quantum manipulation technology. Nothing like what the galaxy thinks we have. But it's real. Within a year, we might not need to bluff anymore. Elena leaned back, processing this information. So all this time, while we were pretending to be technological wizards, we were stumbling toward real breakthroughs, yes. Sarah grinned. Sometimes the best way to discover something is to pretend you already have it. Their shuttle docked with the Prosperity, now the flagship of Earth's growing fleet. Each new vessel incorporated lessons learned from their deceptions. Designs that had started as pure theatrics were being refined into functional technologies. In her cabin later that night, Elena reviewed the latest reports from Earth. Phase 2 was proceeding faster than anyone had anticipated. The combination of Council scientific data and humanity's unique approach to problem-solving was yielding remarkable results. A priority message flashed on her screen. Another crisis brewing in a distant sector. Some newly discovered species was testing Council borders, apparently undeterred by the usual warnings. Well, Elena murmured to herself, let's see how they handle our latest light show. She opened a channel to Sarah's lab. Chief, remember that idea you had about using the crystals to create localized time dilation effects? The one that's completely impossible with our current technology. That we absolutely cannot actually do. Sarah's voice carried a hint of mischief. Exactly. How quickly can you make it look like we can? As the Prosperity prepared for its next mission, Elena reflected on the strange path that had led them here. Humanity had bluffed its way into becoming a major galactic power, and in doing so, had begun to transform itself into something remarkably close to what everyone already thought they were. The real question was, what would happen first? The galaxy discovering their deception, or humanity actually achieving the impossible things they were already famous for? Either way, Elena suspected the next few months would be very interesting indeed. The Omega Protocol. The emergency alert shattered the pre-dawn quiet at Earth Command. Admiral Elena Martinez was already awake, reviewing reports when her screen flashed red. The message was brief but chilling. Unknown entities detected. Standard deception protocols failing. Recommend immediate implementation of Omega Protocol. The Omega Protocol was something they'd hoped they'd never need. A contingency plan for when their elaborate deceptions failed. Now, 6 months after joining the Galactic Council, humanity faced its first real test. Show me, Elena commanded as she strode into the command center. The holographic display sparked to life, showing a scene that made her blood run cold. 3 Earth vessels, including the legendary ESS Prosperity, were engaged with something. The entities, if they could be called that, seemed to phase in and out of normal space-time. Their ships, if that's what they were, ignored all known laws of physics. They're not impressed by our light show. Sarah Wong's voice came through, tight with tension. These beings, they're operating on a completely different level. Our sensor readings suggest they're not fully bound by conventional space-time. Elena watched as the Prosperity's famous crystal arrays activated, creating their most sophisticated deception yet. The unknown entities didn't even pause. Status of Project Phoenix, Elena asked, referring to their real technological development program. Sarah's hologram appeared beside her. We're close to a breakthrough, but we need more time. The quantum manipulation technology works, but it's nothing compared to what these beings are capable of. How long can our ships maintain their position? The Prosperity's actual defenses might hold for an hour. The others, Sarah didn't need to finish. Their reputation had carried them far, but against an enemy that could see through their deceptions, they were dangerously vulnerable. Elena made her decision. Implement the Omega Protocol. All of it. Sarah's eyes widened. Admiral, if we reveal everything. If we don't, we might not survive to worry about the consequences. The Omega Protocol was more than just a contingency plan. It was a gamble that would either save humanity or expose their greatest deception to the galaxy. Over the past 6 months, while maintaining their facade of mysterious superweapons, Earth's scientists had been working on something real. All ships, this is Admiral Martinez. Execute Omega Protocol. Authorization Code. Phoenix Rising. Across Earth's fleet, hidden systems activated for the first time. The Titan crystals, which had been used to create convincing light shows, now pulsed with actual quantum energy. The maintenance nanites, previously used only for deceptive displays, reconfigured into genuine defensive patterns. On the Prosperity's bridge, Captain David Chen watched as his ship transformed around him. The familiar light shows and sensor ghosts were replaced by something far more substantial. The crystalline arrays, now powered by real quantum manipulation technology, began to affect the fabric of space-time itself. It's working. Sarah's voice was filled with wonder. The theoretical models were correct. We're actually generating localized quantum fields. The unknown entities paused their advance. For the first time, they seemed uncertain. Alina leaned forward, watching the tactical display intently. Now we find out if 6 months of real research and development was enough. The battle that followed would be discussed in council chambers for centuries to come. Earth's ships, revealing capabilities that surprised even their own crews, engaged the unknown entities in a clash that bent the laws of physics. The Titan crystals, their true potential finally unleashed, created quantum interference patterns that actually affected the entity's ability to phase through spacetime. Hours later, as the last of the unknown entities retreated from council space, Alina stood before a hastily convened emergency session of the Galactic Council. The chamber was packed with representatives demanding explanations. Honorable Council, Alina began. Today we face a choice. Earth can continue its policy of strategic ambiguity, letting you believe what you will about our capabilities. Or we can share the truth about our initial deceptions and about what we've actually achieved while maintaining those deceptions. The chamber erupted in chaos. Some delegates called for Earth's immediate expulsion from the Council. Others demanded access to their technology. A few sat in stunned silence, processing the implications. The truth, Alina continued once order was restored, is that humanity's greatest weapon was never our supposed super technology. It was our ability to imagine possibilities and then work to make them real. Yes, we deceived you about our initial capabilities, but in trying to maintain that deception, we pushed ourselves to achieve what everyone already thought we could do. She gestured to Sarah, who activated a holographic display showing the actual progress of Project Phoenix. The technology we use today isn't what you thought we had 6 months ago. It's something new, something we developed by combining human ingenuity with the scientific knowledge you shared with us. The council speaker's form flickered with intense emotion. You admit to deceiving this council. We admit to surviving, Alina replied firmly. And in doing so, we developed capabilities that just help defend council space from an unknown threat. The question now is, what do we do next? As the debate raged around her, Alina shared a knowing look with Sarah. The Omega Protocol had worked, but not in the way anyone had expected. Their deception had been revealed, but what they had actually achieved in its shadow might be even more impressive than the capabilities they had pretended to have. The galaxy would never look at humanity the same way again. But perhaps that wasn't such a bad thing after all. Truth and consequences. 1 year after the implementation of the Omega Protocol, Admiral Alina Martinez stood in her office at Earth Command, watching ships from 24 alien species dock at the newly completed Titan Research Station. The massive facility, built around Earth's breakthrough in quantum manipulation technology, represented everything humanity had achieved since their deception was revealed. The latest results from the joint research team are in, Sarah Wong announced as she entered, no longer just Earth's chief of advanced technologies, but now the head of the Council's Quantum Sciences Division. The Arcturus scientists finally admitted it. Our primitive approach to quantum mechanics actually works better than their theoretical models. Alina smiled, remembering the chaos that had followed their revelation to the Council. The initial outrage had quickly given way to fascination as the true story emerged. Humanity hadn't just fooled the galaxy, they had fooled themselves into achieving the impossible. "How's the Prosperity doing?" Elena asked, referring to their famous flagship, now serving as a training vessel for mixed human-alien crews. Captain Chen reports the new cadets are adapting well, though he says the Regelians are still having trouble understanding why we painted flames on the hull, just because it looks cool. A chime from Elena's desk interrupted them. Priority message from the council chamber. The holographic display activated, showing the council speaker's ethereal form. Admiral Martinez, the speaker began, their tone formal but warm. The council has reached a decision regarding Earth's proposal. Elena straightened. This was the moment they'd been working toward for months. After the truth about their initial deception had come out, humanity had proposed a radical new approach to galactic defense and development. Your species has demonstrated a unique ability, the speaker continued, not just in your original deception, but in how you transform that deception into reality. The Council hereby approves the establishment of the Innovation Corps under Joint Earth Council administration. Sarah let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. The Innovation Corps had been her idea, a new organization that would combine humanity's talent for imaginative problem-solving with the advanced scientific knowledge of the Council races. Furthermore, the speaker added, in light of recent events, the Council has revised its historical assessment of Earth's actions. Your initial deception is now officially recognized as the Great Inspiration, a reminder that sometimes pretending something is possible is the first step to making it real. After the transmission ended, Elena walked to the window, looking out at the bustling space station. Ships of all designs moved through the docking patterns, some utilitarian, others clearly influenced by humanity's flair for the dramatic. "You know what the best part is," Sarah said, joining her at the window. "Some of the younger council races are starting to imitate us. The Centaurians just launched their first ship with what they called aesthetic enhancements for psychological impact. You mean they painted flames on it and added completely unnecessary crystal arrays that light up in patterns. They say it's carrying on Earth's tradition of strategic ambiguity." Elena laughed. "So now we're not just developing new technology. We're changing how the galaxy thinks about development itself. That's humanity's real superpower," Sarah agreed. "We don't just think outside the box. We convince everyone else that the box is actually a quantum uncertainty field, then figure out how to make it one." A notification flashed on Elena's display. The unknown entities that had triggered the Omega Protocol had been detected again, this time at the edge of known space. But now, instead of panic, the news brought a sense of anticipation. "Ready to see what impossible thing we'll achieve next?" Elena asked. Sarah was already pulling up the research data. The Regelians have this fascinating theory about phase-shifted reality planes. It's supposedly completely impossible with current technology. "Perfect." Elena smiled. "That's exactly where we do our best work." On the main viewing screen, a live feed showed the latest class of cadets at the Earth Space Academy. Humans and aliens worked side by side, learning not just the technical skills of space travel, but the uniquely human approach to problem-solving that had changed the galaxy. Their instructors had added a new motto to the Academy's walls, one that summed up humanity's journey from clever deception to genuine innovation. "First we imagine, then we achieve." The story of Earth's back-off fleet had become a legend in the galaxy, but not for the reasons anyone had expected. They were no longer feared as mysterious superweapons wielders, but respected as the species that had proven something profound. In a universe of infinite possibilities, sometimes the greatest power isn't what you can do, but what you can imagine doing. And humanity, it turned out, could imagine quite a lot. In her office at Titan Research Station, Sarah had framed their original Strategic Ambiguity Protocol document. Below it, she'd added a quote from an ancient Earth scientist. "The difference between science fiction and science fact is time. Humanity had proven that true in the most dramatic way possible. They had bluffed their way into galactic society. But in maintaining that bluff, they had transformed themselves into something even more remarkable than the superpower they had pretended to be. They had become innovators, dreamers, and pioneers, not just for themselves, but for the entire galaxy. And that, Elena reflected as she watched another research vessel dock at the station, was a far better reputation than being feared. After all, fear might keep others at bay, but inspiration could unite a galaxy. And humanity, with its unique blend of creativity, determination, and just the right amount of theatrical flair, had found its true calling, showing the galaxy not just what was possible, but what could become possible if you dared to imagine it first.